When we think of CTE brain disease, we usually think of football players taking hits on the field. But there are other men and women in different uniforms facing the same potentially deadly danger.
These military servicemen and women who've had these exposures are staggeringly large. I mean, this is not a small problem.
We know that IED exposure can produce CTE.
This is real. It has real consequences, and we need to take this issue very seriously because otherwise people get worse and they die.
We're working towards some really good proactive solutions and preventative solutions.
The Concussion Legacy Foundation's vision for Project Enlist will definitely save our veterans' lives.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Trey Wingo, and I'm delighted to be your host tonight at the 14th Annual Concussion Legacy Gala. Even though it's virtual, it's nice to be together with people and talk about a very, very good cause. Look, I was a working member of the media in 2007 when CLF launched, and I've literally watched the public conversation about concussions and CTE undergo dramatic change over the last 14 years. And I'm here to tell you that the Concussion Legacy Foundation is an absolute driver in leading that change and about how we in the media and everybody talks about concussions and CTE. You know, I was at ESPN for 23 years, and in the early days of my time there, we had a segment on our football show called Jacked Up, where we literally celebrated the big hits that, quite frankly, we now know often caused all kinds of problems and concussions. Then CLF did what they do. They began to shine a spotlight on the important role sports broadcasters play in educating parents, children, and coaches about the serious effects of concussions. Now I'm very proud to say that I'm joining more than 100 of my sports journalism colleagues in becoming concussion reporting certified through the CLF Media Project, and I can promise we'll never see another program like Jacked Up with any organization that I'm involved with ever again. I'm also connected to this cause as a sports parent, and my family has benefited from CLF's success. There's no question about that. More than a decade ago, CLF changed how the sports media handles concussions, and that's where I learned to recognize concussions in my children and to keep them safe. My son played college football, and as he was going through his final few years of high school football, he suffered not one but two concussions. I took that very seriously, and we learned about things that we could do to help mitigate that and certain things that we could do as parents to alert the coaches and the people that were involved in him when he was in high school football about what they could do as well. Obviously, equipment changes, and more than anything else, just understanding what is and isn't acceptable, what's tough, what's not tough, and what's just dangerous. And my association with CLF was a big part of me understanding that, relating it to my son, and relating it to the people who were in charge of making sure he played the game of football as safely as possible. But I also recognize that not everyone is as lucky as I am. And that's why so many of you are here tonight. We need to stay vigilant to keep our kids safe in sports. Repetitive brain trauma doesn't just have an impact on athletes. There's a new front in the fight against concussions and CTE. And this year we're telling the story of a community that is acutely affected by that, our military service members and our veterans. Tonight we're going to hear from veterans and their families about a new approach to veteran brain health aimed at actually solving the invisible wounds of war. CLF has a new strategy called Project Enlist that is taking aim at this crisis. And tonight is your chance to make a difference for veterans. The Concussion Legacy Gala is CLF's biggest fundraiser of the year, and more than $500,000 have already been raised coming into this event. We need to raise another $150,000 during the program tonight from those of you watching at home. Now, if at any point you feel moved to donate, we've made it easy. You can simply text CLF to the number you see on your screen. You'll then receive a link to make your donation. Now, before we get into Project Enlist, we'd like to begin the night by sharing with you how your support has advanced CLF's education, research, and patient and family services programs. Here are just a couple of highlights from the last year.
The Team Up, Speak Up speech is a simple way to save an athlete's season, career, or even life. It asks athletes to look out for one another and speak up if they think a teammate might have a concussion.
The Ivy League was proud to join 80 organizations representing 3.1 million athletes in participating in National Team Up Speak Up Week this fall.
Team Up Speak Up! Team Up Speak Up!
Hi, this is Leonard Marshall, and we live in a world where plays like this are still happening. So we are encouraging parents to wait until their child turns the age of 14 to enroll in playing tackle football.
And we had a Hall of Famer join us to spread the word.
The football legend is starring in a new PSA for the Concussion Legacy Foundation that's out today. It's urging parents to keep their kids out of tackle football until age 14.
Mom, Dad, let's talk about tackle football. I just learned about CTE, the brain disease caused by repeated hits to the head. The more years I play, the more I'm at risk. If you put me in tackle today...
By the time I'm a senior in high school, I'll have played 13 years of tackle football. I could already have CTE, and it will continue to destroy my brain even after I stop playing. So by the time I'm your age...
I could be fighting depression, struggling to keep my thoughts straight. I could become violent, even towards my own children. When I'm your age, what will matter to me is not my youth football career, but that, like you, I'm a great parent and I can provide for my family.
So please, keep me out of tackle football until I'm 14.
To have someone as legendary and as respected in football as Brett Favre say, draw the line at 14, that has a huge impact on parents and young players.
Our 4 flag garnered media coverage equal to 10 million in ad buys, creating an estimated 1.5 billion impressions.
This year, we surpassed 1,000 brain donors, and we put together a report to celebrate what researchers learned from those first 1,000 legacy donors. We called it 1,000 Reasons for Hope, because through the commitment of our donors and their families, we continue to get closer to learning how to diagnose and treat CTE in the living.
It features never-before-seen information about our donors, and it spotlights new testimonials from donor family members like me and Dwayne Johnson.
Hi, my name's Tim Fleiser, and I'm the Executive Director of Concussion Legacy Foundation Canada. This last year, we've been able to expand programs north of the border, such as Team Up Speak Up, Project Enlist Canada, and Helpline. We are excited to welcome our newest international chapter, CLF UK. Bienvenue à la famille. To Dr. White and his team, looking forward to continuing to tackle these issues with you globally.
Hello, I am Dr. Adam White, Executive Director of the Concussion Legacy Foundation UK. We are excited to expand the CLF's mission overseas where it is greatly needed. Our first act was to welcome the 6th member of the CLF Global Brain Bank, Dr. Gabriel De Luca of Oxford University.
I am honored to join this phenomenal international team and lead the Concussion Legacy Project in the UK. I study inflammation in the brain. And since Dr. McKee's breakthrough publication that shows inflammation is a key feature of CTE, I can't wait to get to work to understand the complexities of CTE to help patients and their families.
Sir Richard Fall here, and I'm excited to let you know that we have received our very first brain donor at the New Zealand Sports Human Brain Bank, and it's from a former rugby player. Excitingly, it sparked a national conversation here in New Zealand.
We love the game. We're a rugby nation. But is it seriously hurting us? The game is faster, the players bigger, and so too are the hits.
US neuroscientist Chris Nowinski, co-founder of Boston's Brain Bank, the world leader in CTE research.
American football players, rugby players, soccer players, Australian Football League players, all of them were finding this disease that you don't find in normal people.
In Australia, we've now had 28 brains donated since our launch in 2018. Earlier this year, we announced that beloved Aussie rules player Shane Tuck, who died by suicide at age 38 years, had stage 3 CTE. We worked with his family to share his story.
You'd lost your little brother.
I had lost my brother before he died.
This extraordinary facility is helping unearth secrets that would otherwise be taken to the grave.
That's not something you can recognise while the person is alive.
That's right.
Not at all.
Having hope is crucial for anyone in concussion recovery. The ups and downs can be tough, and knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel is key. That's why we created our Concussion Hope series on social media. We've shared videos like these for nearly 100 straight weeks from people all around the world.
You will get better. You can do this.
Tell yourself every single day, anytime you're feeling that adversity, there's always a way.
Just be really kind with yourself.
Hi, I'm Allison Moyer-Smith from Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts, and I've been recovering from post-concussion syndrome for more than 4 years. For me, PCS has been painful and disorienting and confusing and lonely. Now that I'm stronger, I'm honored to be a peer support volunteer with the CLF helpline. I love befriending people who are struggling just as I did and sharing tips that work for me. This year, more than 1,200 people have reached out to the CLF helpline, and more than 80 have been connected with mentors just like me.
Hi, I'm Katie, and my brother lives with suspected CTE from repetitive head trauma. My family is eternally grateful for the CLF helpline. They introduced us to a doctor who without a doubt saved my brother's life, changed the course of his treatment, and gave my family hope. And for that, I cannot thank them enough.
Actually, pretty amazing to see how CLF is literally changing the world. And I'm thrilled to say they are now investing in our military families. Now, this is going to sound weird, but I want to make sure I say this correctly. One of my great honors of my entire time at ESPN was hosting SportsCenter with Bob Lee the day of the 9/11 attacks. It wasn't even called 9/11 on that day. It was just terrorist attacks. We didn't know what we were going to call it. But I remember thinking we're going in to do a show about sports, and we're going to do a TV show. And all I could think about was, why are we doing this when we've seen those planes hit the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and Flight 93 crashing into that field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania? Our men and women were probably going to have to go to war. Again, I come from a military family. My grandfather served, my father served, my nephew was in the Navy. And I understood the consequences of what was going to happen after that day. By fighting overseas, all of my family members and so many others made us safer at home, but at great personal risk. And that's why this year's program is dedicated to solving the invisible wounds of war through Project Enlist. Now, to tell us a little bit more about this project, I'd like to welcome someone who you guys are all familiar with, and I am thrilled to say I've cultivated a very, very awesome and warm working relationship with him over the years, just through conversations and texts and phone calls, because I wanted to reach out to him to learn more about what he had gone through and what he's helping other people go through. Please now welcome Concussion Legacy Foundation CEO and co-founder, Dr. Chris Nowinski.
Thank you, Trey Wingo. And thanks to everyone tuning in tonight. You play an important role in advancing our mission. Whether you're a Legacy family member, a sponsor, a board member, a volunteer, a helpline client, a CLF champion, a researcher, a research volunteer, we have such a wonderful community dedicated to the common goal of a world without CTE and concussion safety without compromise. In 2007, we placed the first national news story on CTE and football players on the front page of the New York Times. It was the story of Andre Waters, the third NFL player diagnosed with CTE. His family wanted to share his diagnosis publicly to help the many others they suspected were fighting CTE but didn't have a name for their pain. Over the past 14 years, we've gained the trust of the football community, and now more than 1 in 4 NFL families donate the brain of their loved one when he passes. That research has resulted in dozens of breakthrough research papers, a new understanding of CTE, and importantly, services designed to stop football players from dying of CTE and instead helping them learn to live with it. In contrast, there's another important group of people for whom CTE continues to go unrecognized and who have few services and solutions available: military veterans. But veterans need our research and our support more than anyone. I'd like to invite my co-founder, CLF Medical Director, Dr. Robert Cantu, to explain why.
Thank you, Chris. First, to all the veterans and active military service members here with us tonight, thank you for your service. You have kept us safe, but for many of you, it was at great personal cost. Military service members have suffered more than 420,000 traumatic brain injuries, or TBIs, since 9/11, and countless diagnoses of post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. When you add in those injuries in the first Iraq War, Vietnam, Korea, and other wars, peacekeeping missions, and even in training, we know we have too many veterans that need our help. There is no statistic more troubling than the fact that we lose more than 17 veterans every day to suicide. And it was just reported that last year was a record year for suicide among active duty troops. Suicide is complex and multifactorial, but the research is very clear. Traumatic brain injury and PTSD both increase one's risk of suicide. And when you have both together, the risk is even higher. On top of that, we now know, thanks to the work of the VA Boston University CLF Brain Bank, that some of those veterans are also fighting CTE. Some veterans develop CTE from military service, while others begin their career of service having already developed CTE from playing football, soccer, and other contact sports. In 2017, we reported that of the first 10 veterans we studied who had TBIs from the recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, 8 of them also had CTE. 9 of them had received a diagnosis of PTSD, and the majority had died by suicide. TBI, PTSD, and CTE are the perfect storm. Veterans urgently need our help. Solving these invisible wounds of war begins with brain donation. If we don't understand what's happening on a microscopic level in the most complex organ in the human body, it will be so much more difficult to correct it. Through Project Enlist, the Concussion Legacy Foundation is going to do what we do best: work with families to give the world's greatest scientists the tools they need to solve this problem. For Dr. Ann McKee and her incredible research team to solve the invisible wounds of war, they need to be able to study them. I'll send it back to Chris to tell you how we are going to get there, and we must get there.
Thanks, Bob. To solve the invisible wounds of war, we have to first make those wounds visible. CLF launched Project Enlist in 2018 to rapidly accelerate research on CTE, TBI, and PTSD in veterans by creating a culture of brain donation within the veteran community. CTE doesn't have the profile in veterans that it does in sports because we don't have enough cases in the brain bank. More cases will result in more awareness, more research, and perhaps more importantly, more immediate resources for veterans fighting this perfect storm. However, facilitating veteran brain donation is more difficult than it is with NFL players. When NFL players die, it hits the national news, and we can reach out to families in that critical first 48 hours to facilitate brain donation. We don't have the same surveillance system for veterans, but we know families of veterans want to support this research. Some want answers for why their loved one's behavior may have changed. Others want to honor their life of service and make a contribution that will help other veterans. But in order to participate in brain donation, families have to know about brain donation. Through Project Enlist, now powered in part by Wounded Warrior Project, we are building our own surveillance network. We are asking military veterans to pledge to donate their brain. Then, when they pledge, we also ask them to reach out to us if they lose a friend. And they do reach out. This grassroots surveillance system works. To expand our network, we've built an incredible veteran advisory board who believe in the mission of Project Enlist. I'd like you to meet some of them now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brigadier General retired Carol Eggert and also Senior Vice President of Military Affairs at Comcast NBC Universal and a proud member of the Concussion Legacy Foundation Veteran Advisory Board. I'm excited to be here with you this evening. I joined the military in 1972, but it wasn't until 2009 that after being attacked by an explosively formed projectile that I experienced a traumatic brain injury. The rocket came in right at my head, right here next to my head, and that's where my blast injury occurred. I was knocked over and out and unconscious. I'd never thought of myself as injured. I thought that I was knocked out for a little bit, I came to, and I'm ready to jump back on and make sure all of our other battle buddies were taken care of. It wasn't until later, after being at the triage unit, that some things just weren't right. I couldn't remember things. I couldn't put together details. I couldn't face the job that needed to be done after coming home. And it was after the cognitive tests that I realized that I had, in fact, lost some executive functioning skills. The VA has been great in helping with techniques to deal with some of those challenges. I did not talk about some of my challenges until just very recently. And part of the reason I joined the Concussion Legacy Foundation is because I thought it was time for a woman veteran to speak out about combat experience and some of the challenges of that experience. Working with Project Enlist and Pledging Your Brain is really a commitment to the future. While I've gotten great care from the Veterans Administration, there is so much farther to go, and it's Project Enlist that will help us do the research that will get us those solutions for many of our service members who are suffering from the invisible wounds of war. I support because I believe the Concussion Legacy Foundation's vision for Project Enlist will definitely save our veterans' lives.
My name is Will Reynolds, and I'm a retired captain from the United States Army, and I was the 2016 captain for Team USA at the Invictus Games. I pledge my brain to the Concussion Legacy Foundation because it's just such an easy thing to do. I'm pledging for future generations so that they have research that helps them. I was in the United States Army for 7 years. I've never really counted the number of blast exposures that I've been in, but if I had to count, it would probably be close to 20. So my blast injury in Baghdad was a sort of ambush. So I was on foot doing a little bit of investigation and fell victim to what's called a secondary device, completely upended, landed on the ground. My foot was actually on my chest. So my leg was not completely blown off in the blast injury. So I had many surgeries to try to get that leg back to a good level of operation that I could keep it. Unfortunately, 13 or so surgeries in, that salvage failed. So eventually I had to have an amputation so that I had a better quality of life. You have to start with very small, measurable, achievable goals. There are potential brain injury symptoms that have persisted. I was a collegiate gymnast, so very used to flipping and twisting and going through pretty rapid movements. I quickly realized after my injury that those same kind of rapid movements were not rapid movements that my head could sustain. With a brain injury, if you're talking well and answering questions adequately and it doesn't seem like you have any mental deficit, you really kind of pass the screening, if you will. There are so many service members and veterans that have been in countless blast injuries that they also themselves don't count. I would absolutely encourage all veterans to pledge their brain to Project Enlist. It is another level of service for us so that we can not only improve VA care, but improve all care for any veteran.
Thank you all for sharing your experiences and passion with us tonight. And a big thank you to our entire Veteran Advisory Board for their tireless support of Project Enlist. Their stories and the story you are about to hear are why we do this work. We need to find answers for the next generation of athletes and service members. Trey, I know you have a very special family to introduce us to now.
I do, Chris, and thank you for that. It is my distinct privilege to introduce a family on a mission to spread the word about Project Enlist in honor of their son and brother, Matthew Brewer. The former captain in the U.S. Marine Corps was known by many as a real-life Captain America. But as you'll see, even this hero, who fought for his teammates on the football field and his fellow warfighters on the battlefields, encountered that perfect storm of brain injuries and struggled to find the help he so desperately needed. An important warning, this story does include mentions of suicide that may be triggering to some of you watching.
Really, the best brother that anyone could have asked for was Matt Brewer.
Was always just extraordinary. Every mother says that, but no, he really, really was. He just won numerous awards for both sports and academics.
One of the most disciplined men I've ever known. Anywhere from wrestling to boxing to especially on the football field. He was someone that never gave up, and whether it be practice or a game, he always gave it his 100%.
Go!
You know, he would come back and say, yeah, Mom, I felt really woozy. He wouldn't ever really tell me that, oh, Mom, I've got a concussion. Later on in life, he would say, oh, yeah, I had like 4.
To help serve and fight for others that really couldn't fight for themselves, I think really meant a lot to him.
He fiercely loved his country. He loved the brotherhood. And Matt, really, if I could describe him in one way, since the moment he was born, is he was a protector. Because he was so strong, he went with infantry and heavy artillery and tanks. So he would have been around weaponry that had the highest blasts. He had all these awards and medals, but he would never say, hey, Mom, I got this. He got the Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Korean Defense Service Medal, the Joint Service Medal, the Army Achievement Medal.
He was overseas, and as his military career progressed, he definitely became more quiet, I would say, less outspoken.
I had a conversation with him, and it was so bizarre. He was so paranoid about some conspiracy kind of thing that just made no sense. And that's probably the first time I thought, okay, he needs to come home. There's something PTSD, there's something going on here. When Matt came back and when he left the Marines, he came back very depressed.
He had a different vision of himself. So I'd always reassure him, you're a badass dude, you know, you're the best brother I could ever ask for, and he would apologize for things like, I'm sorry I'm not the brother that I used to be, or I'm sorry if I'm not that person you look up to.
He would try to explain what was going on in his head. He goes, I feel like I can't think.
He would get annoyed very easily, aggravated fairly easily.
One day he came out of his closet and I said, what are you doing? And he said, I put a belt around my neck. And he said, I didn't feel anything. And I said, Matt, thank you for telling me. You know this isn't an option. And he says, I know, and I need help. I need to call the crisis hotline. So he called, and I go, yes, you're not alone in this. He just every night would come beside my bed and say, Mom, I love you. Tell me again what we're gonna do tomorrow. And I'd say, okay, Matt, this is what we've got planned. And he'd wake up in the morning, okay, tell me again what the day's looking like. And then he'd go, I can't believe I'm like this. You know, I can't believe that I can't make decisions. We took him to Kansas City where his job was starting, and that's my last picture I have of him. He would call at 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and just kind of panicked, anxious. And you talk him down, and the last call I had with him, he was silent and I was concerned about him. You know, that morning he was getting ready for work. He was supposed to see his sister and come back for the weekend, and it was so impulsive.
Losing Matt has impacted me, and I mean, I'm a different person. A part of a part of me is gone.
I never looked at all the specifics and symptoms and stuff of CTE until after Matt's death, and then I saw he had every one. That was the very first question that we had: can we save his brain? Matt would have been probably the first guy in line to donate his brain, and I wish he had found your site before he took his life. I wish he'd come across it. To have talked to somebody, to have somebody said you're not going crazy, and there's hope and there's help.
The parts of Matt that were amazing and that he instilled in me, I'll carry on for the rest of my life, and I have a purpose to help people like Matt and help go through the things that he went through.
I always saw him dying in the battlefield. I never saw this. But in this, my prayer is that he would continue to protect. We need to know what's going on in our vets' brains. I don't want another mother to have to go through what I went through. And if we can stop that, if we can actually contribute to that, we must.
That was indeed extremely powerful there from Beth and Brant. Beth's words are still echoing in my head right now. What you wouldn't do to ensure another family doesn't have to go through what their family had to go through. But to give his thoughts now on what we can do next, I want to welcome in the amazing retired U.S. Navy SEAL Lieutenant Jason Redman.
Thanks, Trey, and thank you to the family of Matthew Brewer. Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Redman, and I served in the Navy for 21 years as a Navy SEAL. While serving as an assault force commander in Fallujah, Iraq in 2007, I was shot 7 times in my arm and face and spent years recovering alongside my fellow warfighters at the National Naval Medical Center. Today, I am proud to serve on the Veteran Advisory Board of the Concussion Legacy Foundation, and I was one of the first to sign up to pledge my brain to Project Enlist on the day it was launched. The fact is that we don't have enough answers for veterans who have TBIs or CTE right now. I believe in the vision of Project Enlist to provide those answers, but how quickly we succeed depends in part on you. I'm asking you to make a donation tonight and invest in Project Enlist so we have better answers tomorrow. With your help, we will learn how to fix the brains of all those injured in their service to our nation. My goal is to raise $150,000 in the next 5 minutes, and I know together we can do it. To donate, I need you to text CLF to 56651. A $10,000 donation right now will help us build the surveillance system that can find and get a veteran brain to the brain bank in those crucial 48 hours after they pass. I know firsthand how important your contribution is. In 2018, I lost my good friend, Senior Chief Ron Condrey, a 25-year veteran of the Navy with 14 deployments, to suicide. Ron was a master explosive ordnance disposal technician, and he had been exposed to hundreds of blasts. When those suicidal thoughts came, I did everything in my power to help him. I just thought he needed a new purpose in life, and I worked closely with him to find that next thing. Unfortunately, guys, I wasn't successful, and that experience deeply humbled me. I now believe the issue is much bigger than just finding purpose. To fix damaged brains, we need to study damaged brains. When Ron died, I reached out to his widow, Nicole, and I convinced her to donate Ron's brain to Project Enlist. I believe we honor Ron Condrey and Matthew Brewer and all the others we have lost by doing everything we can to help that next veteran. All right, my phone's dinging. All right, so thank you to everyone who has made a $10,000 donation tonight. A few names have just reached me. They're coming across. Tom Gardner, John Corcoran, Rob Ryan, Barbara Piet, and I'm sure there are more that are coming through. Guys, I can't wait to thank you in person after the event. All right, now the next level I'd like to ask for is $5,000. A $5,000 donation will fund the next 2 Operation Brain Health videos to teach veterans how to live their best life with CTE symptoms. With a program like Project Enlist, it's important veterans know they are more valuable to us alive than in the brain bank. And through Operation Brain Health, we feature experts who offer advice for how to keep your brain functioning as best you can and share critical messages of hope. We distribute the videos with our partners like Wounded Warrior Project and the DAV. Here we go. Some of the $5,000 donations that have come in that are dinging across: the Rockefeller family, the Carfagna family, David Fitzhenry, Chris Gaughan, and Gary Fensick. And guys, there are more coming in right now. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for contributing to my fellow veterans in Project Enlist. The last level I'm going to talk about is $1,000. A $1,000 donation will fund the CLF helpline for a week. This year, CLF has already helped more than 1,000 families impacted by concussions or CTE with ongoing support and medical referrals. Please help us keep this going. And guys, don't let that $1,000 suggestion hold you back. Now, if my math is correct, you can underwrite 2 weeks for $2,000. That's right, that's my math. Those of you who were here last year remember how important this program is for families. Guys, there's nothing better than reaching out for help and knowing that there was someone on the other end of the line who understands what you are going through. All right, guys, I'm getting more dings. This is awesome. So I want to say thank you guys for donating. I want to say thank you for your generosity. All of you out there, you are making a difference for fellow veterans who are fighting against CTE. Now, if those levels aren't for you, I want to welcome any amount you can give. $500, $100, $50, or even $10. Guys, every dollar counts. All you have to do is text CLF to 56651. Please give what you can. There is no better investment. And guys, while you complete that donation, tonight we have an incredibly special treat for you. It is my pleasure to introduce music legend Billy Corgan, a two-time Grammy Award winner and the heart of the Smashing Pumpkins. Billy's also a member of CLF's National Advisory Board, and tonight he's going to play a song that he's dedicating to Matthew Brewer and my buddy Ron Condrey and all the veterans we have lost. Ladies and gentlemen, Billy Corgan.
This is a song for a son. This is a song for a sailor. The son I'd never had. This is a song for a kid. This is a song for a tailor who stitched up my old house. Who stitched up my old house. And I am one of many, many more to come, many more to come. I am one of many, many more to come, many more to come. This is a song for a dog. This is a song for a blown out bird. The kind that don't return to the nest. This is a song for a star. This is a song for a space invader who flew into the sun. Never to return. Never to return. I am one of many, many more to come, many more to come. I am one of many, many more to come, many more to come. This is a song for a son. This is a song for a sailor. The best I ever had. He sailed without a map. This is a song for that kid. This is a song for that tailor who stitched up my old heart. Who stitched up my old heart and tore it all apart. I am one of many, many more to come, many more to come. I am one of many, many more to come, many more to come. Ye daughters of the revolution, carry back your sons, carry them back home. Ye daughters of the revolution, carry back your sons, carry them back home.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Enjoy this as a Navy SEAL. Fangirls out for a minute. But Billy, thank you, man, for sharing your incredible talent with us, dedicating it to my friends and our fallen heroes. Thank you for what you're doing. Now, before Trey Wingo takes us home, and Trey, awesome job tonight, brother. Thank you. I'd like to share one more way to support CLF and Project Enlist. Brant McCartney, who you heard from earlier in the video, started the 38 Challenge in honor of his brother Matt to raise awareness about CTE and TBIs in the military and to fundraise for Project Enlist.
The 38 Challenge is a pretty grueling workout, but is intended to bring some awareness and also some much needed funding for brain injury and to help eliminate the stigma of mental health.
A lot of good things are going on at the 38 Challenge, so register for a warrior workout and make a difference. And talk to your friends. Really talk and really listen.
More than 600 people participated in the inaugural event this past August, and we're hoping to double that number next year. You can sign up to learn more about next year's event by going to the38challenge.com and clicking register today. Oh my God, guys, we did it. We hit our goal, $150,000 in 5 minutes. Guys, I want to say thank you. I can't tell you what this means to me, what it means to fellow veterans. I know what it means to Nicole Condrey, the widow of my buddy Ron. Thank you to all of you for helping us to provide amazing resources for Project Enlist for the next year to come. Thank you for all of you being here. Trey, I'm kicking it back to you.
Well, thank you, Lieutenant Redman, for continuing to be a leader and a motivating force for this community. And listen, thank you to everybody on the event committee who has made this possible. And it's been a joy and a privilege and an honor to be your host tonight. And I want to thank CLF for the life-saving work they're doing today, and they'll continue to do tomorrow and in days, weeks, months, and years to come, thanks to the generosity of everybody with us tonight. So that does it for our second virtual gala. Hopefully, we'll be all together in person next year, but you never know, but that's the goal we're going for. So on behalf of everyone here, we are all wishing you and yours good health and good night.